Hello, we are back.
Hello.
Mark
Hello, we're back.
and Joe, not by popular demand, just because we like to walk around the park and have a chat.
In fact, by unpopular demand, we're back.
Yeah.
Polluting your screens.
Luckily, there's no kind of emojis where you can just throw stuff at people.
Tomato
on LinkedIn and
emoji.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Me and Mark see each other a bit. We're just catching up about challenges, issues, problems in the industry at the moment. We're just trying to work out whether it's something that's been heightened in the pandemic. Problems with chains, problems with service, problems with sales progression. Chains, they are worse at the moment. I think they have been a bit more of an issue because of lack of stock and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really. I think what's happening is there's always been an issue with chains, but it's getting that's better. Now it's getting a little bit worse. I've got a crazy story to tell you what happened to me. I agreed a sale on a property in September of last year, where the vendor had agreed at the time of booking the sale to move out once it's ready to complete. It's ready to complete in November, and the vendor decided that he couldn't move out. His family wouldn't allow him to. So that was that. But he said, "Look, don't worry. I'm going to find a house. I'll find a house." And he kept finding houses. He kept offering on them, and he was beaten. His offers were always beaten. And it's happened 3 times.
A lot of people are saying that's happening. Yeah.
It's you know what it is. It's when you're coming up to offer with a chain behind you, and you're up against people that are offering with no chain. The sellers are going to choose the ones generally with no chain, which is a shame, but that's what's happening. So
I think we need to give more people like that a chance, because that's what fuels the market more.
Completely.
But when you're sitting there picking in rented, cash buyer,
buyer,
first-time buyer, someone in the chain, don't outrule that person. They could be the best buyer for the property in terms of price or motivation.
Yeah, I agree as well. And their commitment as well is very, very strong. Doesn't forget commitment, because they're not going to want the chain to fall apart under them. So it got to the point, anyway, that he had to move out. And in the last 2 weeks, I've been fiercely negotiating of how he was going to move out. And the buyer gave him an ultimatum. They have to be in on the 1st of March. Otherwise, so therefore they have to exchange contracts right now to make sure that's going to happen. So he finally agrees. The seller finally agrees to exchange contracts now, today. Say, we'll do it in the next few days, as soon as the solicitors are ready. Contact his solicitor to get this all sorted out, only to find that the solicitor's now gone. They've disappeared. They're closed. They have been taken over by another firm of solicitors without actually telling him, because obviously this didn't just happen yesterday and it happened today. They probably were. This has all been organised over the last few months that it was going to happen, but no, the clients are the very last ones to know. So we've just called up to say, now we're ready to exchange. Let's get this done, because the buyer's going to pull out. And the solicitor's saying, well, we're in the middle of literally transferring files. They don't know how long it's going to take. So
who's getting them? Then what's got to be looked over? What's got to be checked?
Yeah, exactly. So
pain,
that's not the buyer and the seller's fault for sure. And it actually could cost the sale, because that buyer may just think, you know what, I've been waiting long enough. I've tried everything, and this is like the final nail in the coffin. So we shall see.
Communication. Maybe I don't know if that firm that went tits up, excuse the phrase, but. Could there not been a communication with everyone? Oh, by the way, we're going tits up and so-and-so is going to be dealing with it. But it doesn't happen, does it?
It doesn't.
People don't think about things like that. And that's communication in general. It's just been so poor recently. And when you do get into these chains, the agent checking of the chain sometimes is non-existent, or it's poor. Or the checking of buyers to do with their finances and their situation is poor. And there's a lot of things that are falling apart out there because of that. People are hiding behind the pandemic, be it agencies, solicitors, using it as an excuse. Oh, we're busy, or we're short-staffed. There's no excuse for just doing the basics right. I believe, anyway.
Well, I think anyone believes that, really. It's the obvious way to run a business.
Getting out of offices sometimes from solicitors saying, I'll get back to you within 4 or 5 days, because in the text it says, because of the pandemic we're under pressure, blah 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 blah. Okay, I get it's caused issues. It's not as bad as it was last year. Things have calmed down a bit. So, but
do you know what? Talking about sales progression. So, I was, it's always one of those questions, those big question marks, is how much do we really need to progress sales as estate agents?
Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started. I saw something on LinkedIn from a chap.
Yeah.
I think it was high up in an online place. I won't name them. And he said he doesn't think estate agents should be wasting their time sales progressing, doesn't think they can actually have an impact, and we should stop thinking that we can have an impact, and we should spend time doing more important things and stop chasing solicitors. And my jaw just dropped, and I thought, what a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly disagree and think we can make a difference.
Right, so it even just comes down to basic human needs. How much do we need to communicate to each other, and actually to keep ourselves stable and sane and not stressed out?
Yeah.
And really that's what our role is as estate agents. Is the progression is really, it should almost be called sales communication rather than sales progression, because we have a slight influence just to make sure that things are sped up. But really what it's about is the fact that if we didn't communicate what's happening back to the buyers or the sellers, then they're always going to think the worst.
Yeah.
And that's it. They're always going to think the worst thing is going to happen.
I think standards have dropped during the pandemic, service-wise, be it agents, solicitors, mortgage brokers, anyone involved in the process, removals, anything. But we really need to keep an eye on that, everyone in the industry, and raise them back up again, because we'll continue to get a bad name. And there's no excuse for not being able to call someone back, drop someone an email that might be a 30-second task every now and then someone have to chase someone 3 or 4 days later. So it's just something I noticed has got a lot worse, and it's making our whole process and chains and getting people moving a lot harder.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So so this is it. So I think the key to this is make sure that your estate agent is continually sales progressing. Do not stop it, because it's the only thing that's going to really
takes
keep
an
everyone...
interest in it.
Yeah,
madly has a passion for it.
Absolutely, that's it. Do you know, it's really funny. We're both EXP agents, as you can see by Joe's jumper there. It's his sweat. What is it? Your fleece there. And we've been offered the opportunity to have sales progressor doing all of our sales progressing, and I'm really against that personally, because if you think about it, as an estate agent, you get a property on, it might take 3-4 weeks tops to sell, especially in today's market. It might even go much quicker than that. But it might take 2 or 3 months to go through. So if your little bit is just a few weeks and a sales progressor is loads of months, 3-4 months, then that sales progressor is going to be the person that your clients are going to remember, and not you.
Yep. I know we're both very keen to keep the one point of contact service as our pitch, because we don't like to dilute it down. Others might, and they'll find a way to sort of work that, but we're very much one-man bands. So nice to see you.
I just want to say that somebody made a comment on our last video, and they said that we didn't seem like we were out of breath, which I thought was... which I thought was quite good.
Not walking very fast.
No, we know, exactly. The snails are going past us at the moment. But listen, have a great week, everybody.
That's us signing off from the Cassiobury again in the sunshine. We'll see you soon. Cheers.